Hey everyone, welcome back to our daily true crime documentary series. Today we're covering a case that captured the nation's attention in 2018. It's a story that begins with a family that, on the surface, appears picture perfect. A loving wife who is pregnant with their third child, two adorable young daughters, and a seemingly devoted husband. But beneath that calm suburban facade lies a chilling truth that will shock and unsettle even those familiar with the darker corners of human behavior. So let's step back in time, piece together the events, and try to understand what happened. Remember to subscribe, stay engaged in the comments, and share your thoughts. With that, we transition into the story of Chris and Shanann Watts and the tragedy that unfolded in Frederick, Colorado. It is approximately 1:48 a.m. on Monday, August 13, 2018. The summer night sky over Frederick, Colorado is deep and still, its stars faintly visible through a thin haze lingering above the suburban rooftops. The air is warm and dry, carrying a subtle scent of cut grass and asphalt cooling after a hot day. On quiet streets lined with neat houses and manicured lawns, the windows are mostly dark. A gentle breeze rustles the leaves of a young maple tree outside a modest two-story home on Saratoga Trail. Inside, a few lights remain on, revealing a well-kept interior that suggests order and care. Neighbors sleep soundly, cars rest in driveways, and the usual hum of distant traffic has dwindled to near silence. Within the home, at 2825 Saratoga Trail, Shanann Watts, 34, is expected to return from a late business trip. She has spent the weekend out of state, attending a leadership event for her job in the health and wellness industry. Her friend, who drops her off at the Watts residence, notes the time. Just moments before 2 a.m., the driver sees Shanann step inside her home and close the door behind her. Outside, the darkness embraces the neighborhood, and no one imagines the horror about to unfold. What should be a routine, quiet, early morning at the Shanann reuniting with her sleeping family will soon set the stage for a nightmare. In the hours that follow, no one on the block sees Shanann again. By mid-morning, a thick August sun rises over Frederick. Humidity clings to the air, and the day's heat intensifies. Shanann, who is 15 weeks pregnant, is expected to have a scheduled appointment later that day. She is typically active online, chatting with friends, posting updates about her life and family, sharing her excitement about the upcoming birth of her baby boy, whom she and her husband Chris plan to name Nico. As the morning stretches past normal check-in times, several friends begin to notice Shanann's unusual silence. She misses a doctor's appointment, something incredibly out of character. She doesn't return calls or texts. Shanann's close friend, who is also her colleague, grows increasingly concerned. By early afternoon, the friend decides to visit the Watts home. There, no one answers the door. A neighbor's security camera footage recorded Shanann returning from her trip hours ago. So where is she now? This same neighbor, noticing something off, recalls seeing Chris Watts early in the morning, loading his truck in a manner that appeared a bit unusual. He had backed his work truck into the driveway, something he rarely did. But no immediate alarm bells sounded then. It simply registered as odd. Now, as time ticks on and Shanann's friend grows more worried, the Frederick Police Department is contacted. Officers arrive on scene to conduct a welfare check. Inside the quiet house, Shanann and the two girls, Bella, 4, and Celeste, 3, are nowhere to be found. Hours prior, Shanann's last known activities paint a picture of a woman exhausted from travel but happy to be home. On Sunday, August 12, Shanann is at a business conference in Scottsdale, Arizona. She checks in with friends via phone calls and text messages throughout the afternoon and evening. There are mentions of her pregnancy, her excitement at upcoming milestones, and a few notes of tension regarding her marriage. Nothing overly alarming, just subtle signs of stress. Shanann boards a late flight back to Colorado, tired, but seemingly in good spirits. The weekend trip, colleagues say, went well. She shared meals and success stories, posted social media videos in real time. In these clips, She shows off her baby bump and beams as she talks about her family, hinting at the growth and changes they'll soon embrace. Witness accounts from fellow travelers on the flight confirm Shanann is polite, a bit quiet, maybe just weary from a busy few days. Her phone messages to friends confirm her expected arrival time in Colorado, just before 2 a.m. She texts her friend to say she's finally home, then goes silent. Nevertheless, Shanann returns to a small hotel and travels back and forth to the presidential palace for well over 20 hours. Later that morning, a friend tries repeatedly to reach Shanann. Calls go to voicemail. Texts remain unread. Social media is eerily quiet. Another friend tries the doorbell camera app to see if Shanann comes to the door. Nothing. Growing fear leads them to call Chris. He offers vague assurances that Shanann must have taken the girls out on a playdate, but maybe she's just offline. But this doesn't sound right. Shanann's car is still in the garage, her keys and purse reportedly inside the house. She would never leave without them. Panic sets in. Around 1:40 p.m., officers from the Frederick Police Department arrive at the Watts home. The day's heat is near its peak, the sky still bright and cloudless. Chris appears on scene, seemingly cooperative, but strangely calm. He grants permission for the police to enter. They move through tidy rooms painted in warm neutrals and accented by family photos, searching for clues. No signs of forced entry, no struggle immediately apparent, just a gnawing absence. Shanann's phone is found stuffed in the couch cushions. This is alarming. Friends know Shanann practically lives through her device, using it to communicate constantly. Her medication, critical for her and the girls, remains untouched. The children's beds are empty. Everything feels staged, unnatural, and tense. The initial responding officers note these anomalies and contact detectives. Something is gravely wrong. Before this tragedy, Shanann Watts is a vibrant individual with a layered past. Born on January 10, 1984, in Passaic, New Jersey, she grows up in a close-knit family with strong values. As a child, Shanann demonstrates resilience and determination. Her parents, Frank and Sandy, recall her as compassionate and mature beyond her years, the kind of daughter who radiates kindness and optimism. Through her formative years, Shanann spends time between New Jersey and North Carolina, where her family moves seeking better opportunities and a quieter life. As a young girl, she faces some health challenges, including childhood illnesses that require careful attention, shaping her understanding of empathy and strength in adversity. Lan Maridu. Schoolmates remember Shanann as diligent, friendly, and deeply caring about others. She isn't the most outgoing in elementary school, but she listens attentively, showing early signs of her thoughtful character. Through her teens, she grows more confident. By high school, Shanann balances academics with part-time work, helping out in local businesses, learning the value of hard work, and saving money for her future. She dreams of going to college and forging a path where she can blend her people skills with a mission to improve others' lives. In adulthood, Shanann's educational journey leads her into fields where she can apply her empathy and communication abilities. She completes her schooling with a blend of traditional and online courses, focusing on business and marketing. Though not extensively documented, her family and friends say Shanann's early adult years involve continuous learning, professional development courses, and eventual forays into entrepreneurial ventures. She becomes passionate about wellness, health, and inspiring others to live their best lives. This sets her on a path to a career that perfectly complements her caring nature. Professionally, Shanann finds her niche in the health and wellness industry. By 2018, she works as a brand promoter for a company that sells health supplements and lifestyle products. Her upbeat personality and first-hand success stories make her a natural at this role. She leverages social media effectively, often posting videos, motivational quotes, and personal success tales. Her colleagues describe her as proactive, always looking for opportunities to learn more and help others excel. She aspires to continue climbing within the company, mentoring new recruits, and expanding her network. In her personal notes, Shanann writes down goals: to establish financial security for her growing family, to move up in the company's ranks, and to carve out a future where she can balance motherhood with meaningful work. Her workplace relationships are warm and supportive. Supervisors trust her, and teammates admire her positive energy. Shanann's family life forms the heart of her world. She marries Chris Watts in 2012, and over the next few years they welcome two daughters, Bella and Celeste. Family members recall Shanann often expressing deep gratitude for finding love after what she describes as a challenging period of self-discovery. She credits Chris with providing stability and a sense of partnership. They buy their home in Frederick, Colorado, an attractive and growing suburb not far from Denver's bustling opportunities. Shanann's parents and brother remain close, visiting often, and she keeps a tight relationship through phone calls and social media. Extended family gatherings at holidays, vacations with relatives, and shared milestones deepen the familiar bonds. In recent months, everyone is excited about the new baby on the way. Shanann shares ultrasound pictures, baby name ideas, and future plans, despite occasional marital tensions. As common stressors that arise in many families, Shanann conveys optimism, expecting to weather any storms and build a stable, loving environment for their expanding household. Welcome Insane World Expanded. Beyond her family and work, Shanann maintains a lively social life. She has a close circle of female friends she meets through her wellness business. They connect over coffee dates, group workouts, or weekend brunches. Social media groups keep them engaged daily, discussing personal growth, children's milestones, and relationship advice. Shanann enjoys traveling, both for work and pleasure, and cherishes time with good friends who inspire her. Her personal hobbies include home decor, experimenting with healthy recipes, and sharing book recommendations. She frequently tries new fitness routines and encourages friends to join. The Frederick community, too, offers various activities, local parks where she takes the girls to play, neighborhood events, and family-friendly festivals. Shanann's interests center around nurturing her family's health, happiness, and future success. She seems to have everything in place to continue thriving, making her disappearance on that August morning all the more alarming. On the day of the incident, Monday, August 13, 2018, Shanann's morning is supposed to start with routine tasks. Because she arrives home so late, she plans to spend the morning resting, catching up on messages, and getting ready for her afternoon prenatal appointment. Typically, she would wake around 7 a.m. if rested, feed the girls breakfast, and ensure they have everything for the day's activities. Bella and Celeste are energetic children who enjoy playing outdoors in the morning sun, often chasing bubbles on the lawn or riding their tricycles along the sidewalk. Shanann might have made a quick shake with the dietary supplements she promotes, responding to client inquiries online. Her phone would normally buzz with updates from colleagues and friends, checking on her safe return from the conference. But on this particular morning, no one hears from Shanann. There is no sign of the girls outside, no cheerful laughter drifting from the open windows. Surveillance footage from a neighbor's camera shows Chris leaving the driveway very early, around 5:27 a.m. Loading something into his truck that appears bulky, but the grainy footage and dim lighting make it hard to identify what it is. He departs moments later. By 8 a.m., Shanann's phone remains inactive. By 9 a.m., concerned texts from her friends accumulate. Just after 10 a.m., her friend tries visiting the house in person. The skies are bright blue, temperatures climbing into the high 80s, with a light breeze that can't dispel the growing tension. By late morning, as concerns escalate, another neighbor steps forward with more recollections. He saw Chris pacing in his driveway, appearing distracted. Another witness, a postal carrier passing by, recalls a quiet morning on Saratoga Trail. No unusual activity, except a lingering sense of emptiness at the Watts residence. Calls to Shanann's phone go unanswered. Her voicemail is full. Meanwhile, Chris is at work, sending text messages and calling Shanann's phone himself, or so he claims, stating he can't reach her either. He suggests she took the girls on a playdate, as he tells friends and later the responding officers. However, no one can name who might be hosting this supposed playdate. Friend after friend insists Shanann would have mentioned it, especially given her pregnancy and habit of meticulous planning. As the day progresses toward noon, alarm bells ring louder. Shanann's prenatal appointment at around 10:45 a.m. is missed. The medical office calls her phone repeatedly without success. They try reaching Chris, leaving messages about Shanann's no-show. Still silence. The friend who dropped Shanann off the night before is now frantic. She contacts the Frederick Police Department and requests a welfare check. It feels impossible that Shanann would vanish without explanation. She loves her children, is excited about the new baby, and doesn't skip medical visits. The final sightings captured by security systems corroborate Shanann's arrival home just before 2 a.m. The camera footage is clear. She exits her friend's vehicle, carrying her suitcase, and walks toward her front door. She does not appear distressed or alarmed. No other cameras capture movements of her or the girls outside after that time. The last confirmed location where she is seen is her own doorstep. Witness descriptions highlight a routine scenario. No raised voices, no suspicious vehicles. The digital communications log ends after her last text message confirming her arrival. After this, Shanann's phone use halts. End footnote. In the late morning while Chris is reportedly at work, neighbors' CCTV provides limited glimpses. No one sees the girls leaving. No known witness spots Shanann. The front door remains closed, curtains still drawn. The situation now escalates from odd silence to a serious missing persons case. Officers arrive just before 2 p.m., knock on the door and eventually meet Chris there. He appears confused and claims ignorance. He gives permission to search the house. Inside, the discovery of Shanann's phone, still at home, sets off immediate red flags. It contains messages from worried family and friends. Her car remains in the garage. Safety seats still strapped inside. The children's favorite blankets and toys are untouched. All these details push investigators to treat this as an urgent matter. Or, until we can capture Alexander Shannon's phone, and at least test the device's blankets, he can get close to helping us to find her. By late afternoon, as daylight begins a subtle downward shift, the first steps of the official investigation are underway. The Frederick Police Department takes the lead, joined soon by the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, CBI, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI. Officers begin canvassing the neighborhood, knocking on doors, speaking to residents who might have seen something. They dispatch search teams, check local parks, contact hospitals, and issue a missing persons alert for Shanann and the girls. The immediate police response follows standard protocol. Officers secure the Watts home, note the vehicles present, and document initial observations. The lack of forced entry and the presence of Shanann's personal belongings perplex everyone. They request phone records, examine Shanann's social media activity, and reach out to coworkers. At this stage, with limited information, they remain open-minded to possibilities. Did Shanann leave on her own? Is she staying somewhere voluntarily? Could she have been abducted? Or is this a medical emergency? Preliminary findings come quickly. Shanann's personal effects, including her medication for a health condition, are left behind. The children's backpacks and favorite dolls sit undisturbed. Investigators check doorbell cameras, asking neighbors for any relevant footage. One neighbor's camera that captured Chris loading his truck early that morning raises quiet suspicions, but does not confirm anything yet. Meanwhile, Chris is cooperative, or so it seems, answering questions and consenting to searches. Officials call for canine units to trace scents. The first few hours passed rapidly, everyone scrambling to piece together a timeline that ended abruptly when Shanann stepped inside her home, hours before dawn. As evidence gathering unfolds, investigators look carefully at every inch of the Watts house. They photograph every room, noting its pristine state. They collect Shanann's phone for forensic analysis, download call and message logs, and request cell tower data. They begin a digital footprint assessment, checking Shanann's and Chris's social media posts, their recent activity patterns. The bedrooms are tidy. A small loft area where children's toys are kept appears undisturbed. In the kitchen, there's a sense of normalcy. No dishes stacked oddly, no spills, no sign of a struggle. Yet the very normality is unsettling when an entire family is missing. Outdoors, officers scan the yard, searching for footprints or signs of forced removal. They note the August heat and dryness. They bag any item that might hold prints or DNA. They question neighbors, who say they saw Shanann return but did not see her leave. One neighbor, showing officers his surveillance video, points out Chris's strange behavior, loading his truck early in the morning. This footage is copied and analyzed. Detectives note inconsistencies in Chris's statements. He claims Shanann left with the kids, but her car and the children's belongings remain. As the story breaks locally, around the same day, media outlets begin reporting on the missing pregnant woman and her 2 daughters. Headlines mention a mystery and fears for their safety. Social media lights up with speculation. Friends and family of Shanann share her missing person flyers, pleading for anyone to come forward with information. The public grows invested quickly. News reporters station themselves near the Watts home, capturing footage of police comings and goings. In televised appeal, Chris stands on the porch, asking for his family's return, his demeanor perplexing observers. He seems oddly detached, prompting a flood of online comments questioning his authenticity. Public engagement surges. Offers of help come in from community members, some joining informal search parties checking local trails and parks. Shanann's relatives, desperately worried, release statements begging her to contact them if she can. Authorities urge anyone with information to call a designated tip line. The family's story spreads across the country, appearing on nightly newscasts and social media feeds. The community of Frederick, normally quiet and tight-knit, grapples with collective anxiety. Candlelight vigils are discussed, missing posters are circulated, and whispered theories ripple through the neighborhoods. In the days following the initial response, the investigation ramps up significantly. Key breakthroughs emerge when law enforcement scrutinizes digital data. Phone records show no outgoing activity from Shanann after her arrival home. Chris's phone and text history prompt further inquiries. A critical piece of evidence surfaces: GPS data from Chris's work truck and his admission of traveling to a remote oil field. Investigators discover that he works for an oil and gas company, Anadarko Petroleum, which has secluded well sites scattered throughout the region. Alexander continues. As experts comb through Chris's statements, they note discrepancies. He initially claims Shanann left with the kids, but he cannot provide a plausible name or address for where they might have gone. Digital forensics reveal text messages between Chris and a woman he is having an affair with. This relationship, unknown to many, suddenly becomes a key lead. Investigators build a timeline around Chris's movements. Phone pings, text exchanges, and location records now contradict his verbal account. Technological aids like cell tower triangulation and GPS logs guide detectives to remote areas where they suspect bodies might be hidden, or where they might be hidden from viewers. By August 15, just 2 days after the disappearance, Chris becomes the primary suspect. Detectives confront him with inconsistencies. Expert consultants, including forensic psychologists and seasoned homicide investigators, assist in reading his body language and dissecting his stories. A polygraph test is administered. Chris fails. This is a critical turning point. Under increasing pressure, he offers a shifting narrative, first claiming Shanann harmed the children and he retaliated. Investigators find this story implausible. They push harder, armed with new forensic data and confessions that start to unravel the truth. As suspect emergence becomes clearer, investigators find Chris's background fairly unremarkable at first glance. No known violent criminal history, he has a seemingly stable job, a modest educational background, and a circle of acquaintances who describe him as quiet and reserved. But deeper digging reveals tension in the marriage, financial stress, and his growing dissatisfaction. Friends and co-workers attest that Chris's demeanor changed in recent months. He lost weight, focused excessively on physical appearance, and grew distant toward Shanann. Throughout the investigation, challenges arise. Some witnesses are reluctant or have incomplete recollections. Certain electronic data requires time-consuming warrants and expert analysis. The remote location of potential evidence, like the oil field where Chris's truck traveled, adds complexity. Jurisdictional boundaries extend the process as different agencies coordinate efforts. Yet, the investigative team persists, determined to find answers. In building the perpetrator's profile, investigators learn that Chris Watts, born in 1985, grew up in Spring Lake, North Carolina. He attended local schools, studied automotive technology, and worked various mechanical jobs before moving to Colorado. Friends from his past say he was quiet, introverted, polite, and never known to break rules. He meets Shanann online, and their early relationship seems happy. Marriage and children follow. His employment at an oil company provides stability, though not luxury. Socially, Chris is not as outgoing as Shanann. He keeps fewer friends, spends free time watching sports or working on his lawn. He rarely expresses strong emotions publicly. Behavioral analysts note that Chris might have harbored resentment, feeling trapped by financial burdens, marital tensions, and the responsibilities of a growing family. As a psychological assessment begins, experts consider narcissistic traits, or a desire to escape his life to pursue a new relationship. Patterns emerge. He withdraws emotionally from Shanann, lies about his affair, and eventually commits the unthinkable act of eliminating his family. Risk indicators might have included his sudden personality shift, secrecy, and avoidance of discussions about the pregnancy. After the crime, Chris attempts a cover-up. He disposes of the bodies at an anarcho-petroleum site where he knows few would venture. Surveillance footage from neighbors contradicts his claims. He sends misleading text messages to Shanann's phone, tries to maintain a facade of worry, and appears on camera pleading for their safe return. He contacts a realtor to discuss selling the house, hinting he is ready to move on. Digital footprints, including internet searches about relationship termination and marital issues, further implicate him. Investigators track his every move through phone records and credit card statements, painting a picture of a desperate man trying to appear normal while hiding a monstrous secret. On August 15, 2018, after failing the polygraph and confronting the mounting evidence, Chris Watts is arrested. The booking process at the Weld County Jail in Greeley, Colorado, is swift and methodical. He is charged with multiple counts of first-degree murder and unlawful termination of a pregnancy. The initial hearings take place at the Weld County Courthouse, where he appears in an orange jumpsuit, shackled, head bowed. The district attorney's office prepares its case meticulously, intending to seek the maximum penalties possible. Chris obtains legal representation, a public defender assigned to navigate the unfolding judicial process. In the pre-trial phase, prosecutors lay out the gruesome details. Chris Watts strangled Shanann, smothered Bella and Celeste, and transported their bodies to a remote oil site. Court documents detail how he hid Shanann's body in a shallow grave and placed the children's bodies into oil tanks. Investigators present evidence from GPS data, text messages, and security camera footage. Public outrage intensifies as these facts become known. At hearings, media packs the courtroom, and national outlets cover every development. Friends of Shanann testify to her good character and loving nature. Expert witnesses explain digital forensics, DNA analysis, and the psychological aspects of the crime. By November 2018, Chris Watts pleads guilty to all charges to avoid the death penalty. The trial details come out in the form of a sentencing hearing. Family members provide impact statements that reduce the courtroom to tears. The prosecution describes in detail how the evidence ties Chris irrefutably to the murders. There are no key testimonies in the traditional sense of a lengthy trial, because the guilty plea preempts it. Still, the sentencing hearing is powerful. Detectives recount how they uncovered the truth, Shanann's family sobs as they share their pain, and experts confirm the heinous nature of the offense. The final verdict is life in prison without the possibility of parole. Chris Watts receives multiple consecutive life sentences for the murders of Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and the unborn baby Nico. The sentencing details stun those who still find it hard to fathom how a father could commit such atrocities. Judge's words emphasize that the crimes are the epitome of evil, making Chris Watts unfit ever to return to society. Impact statements from Shanann's parents and brother highlight the immeasurable loss and the enduring trauma they will carry. In the aftermath, Shanann's family grapples with unimaginable grief. They must adjust to life without their beloved daughter and grandchildren. They find some solace in memorial services, community tributes, and the outpouring of support from across the nation.